So it's been a few days since Sean O'Malley lost his UFC world title to Merab dvalishvili, and I'm gutted. I must admit I'm gutted. I didn't even do a fight companion. I didn't make an immediate reaction video, mainly because I was very, very busy that whole day. I just wanted to watch the fight, get my thoughts on it, but I've given it a few days to digest. I've heard what O'Malley has had to say since the loss. He's handled it like a true champion. He said literally no excuses, no nothing. There are literally no excuses. It just stings a lot. He'll be back. It does sting, and I'm very gutted this has happened, right? And the whole of the MMA community is saying, oh, you're a casual fan if you don't think Merab's exciting, and you're a casual fan if you think, oh, Merab is boring to watch, and you're a casual fan if you think O'Malley won 2 rounds out of the 5. Absolutely nonsense. It's absolutely abysmal how everyone is saying that Merab won all 5 rounds. I think because the 3 rounds that there was 2, let me explain. Merab won rounds 1 and 2 and round 4. Okay? Round number 1, you can argue O'Malley landed better shots, but Merab did get one big moment where he threw an overhand and caught O'Malley. Even though O'Malley was turning his head with the punch, it looked more dramatic. So fair play, Merab gets round number 1, control time, etc. Round number 2 was probably Merab's the best round of the fight for him. He just controlled Sean, didn't put his weight on Sean, didn't let Sean do anything. And obviously Sean O'Malley spoken in his podcast recently saying, look, he didn't want to explode and use all the energy with the risk of actually not being able to get up, and he felt Merab's strength and he knew how strong he was. So I mean, I want to see O'Malley do things differently. We can speak a little bit about what I want to see him do differently later on. But look, this is the problem here. Do you want to hear the main problem I have with this? Is people saying that O'Malley lost all 5 rounds. O'Malley comfortably won round 5 with hurting Merab, and he won round 3 on damage. Both rounds very clear. If the first round was a little bit closer, or if O'Malley landed one big shot in the first round, he wins that fight. Do you get what I'm saying? It might be a split decision, but he wins that fight. The fight was a lot closer than people think, but because Merab's 2 rounds were so dominant, people are saying, oh, he was ragdolled for 5 rounds. Cejudo said it as well. Is Cejudo forgetting Merab picked him up and slammed him and battered him for the 2 rounds? O'Malley looked fast. His hands looked fast as always. His footwork, everyone's saying it was flat. That is how O'Malley stands. O'Malley stands planted until there's a threat on the feet. Then he moves around and he skirts. Merab was the one moving around him. O'Malley's feet were how they always are. O'Malley looked like how he always does. There was a lot less feints this time though. I would have liked to have seen more feints. There was a lot less feints. And I seen some people on Tim Welch's Patreon, O'Malley's coach, saying, What do you think the game plan was less feints? Absolutely not. You want to keep Merab being guessing and reacting to what O'Malley's doing. I think it was just one of those nights. O'Malley lost. Simple as that. He's handled it like a champ. The video of him putting the belt in the suitcase is tough to watch. It's like, fuck. And anyone saying, oh, you're a casual if you think O'Malley is a better champion. No, I just like having more exciting fighters as champions, more marketable fighters as champions. I don't want the UFC to die, because this is my life. The UFC is the only thing I have to live for. These people don't understand. You can say, oh, you're a casual if you don't like Merab as champ. I don't care who the champion is, as long as the UFC is not going to suffer from it. Belal Muhammad, Merab, both as champs. Are you taking the mick? John Jones, who's fighting Stipe as champ. It's not great. Alex Pereira's 37, 38. He's going to be gone soon. It's not a good time for the UFC. And that's not me hating on Merab. I hate his fighting style, like the kissing and the holding and the not doing any damage. Sean O'Malley said he took more damage in the Chito Vera fight just from hurting his limbs and his knees, punishing Vera, than Merab did to him by dominating 2 of the rounds against him and having success in the other ones. Unbelievable. Anyway, this video is about O'Malley, and he needs surgery now. I was hoping to see him come back genuinely December time. I was going to say December is perfect. November, December, end of November. Obviously, the pay-per-view's filled for November. So December was the only slot you could really fit O'Malley in at the soonest. And I wanted to see him in there against Henry Cejudo. Now, O'Malley's realistically not going to be back until July next year. He has to have surgery on his hip. He's got a torn labrum in his hip. He said it wasn't causing him any too much pain during the camp. However, what it does is it creates, because he's trying to avoid strain on that part of his hip, it's causing niggles and naggles in other areas of his body. So he wants to just heal up his body fully. He's had a surgery on his hip before. I think it's the same hip. So obviously, let's have a little look at that right now. Obviously, these are just articles that have been done. Obviously, Tim Welch came out on Snapchat the morning after the fight, or Patreon Live, and he said, O'Malley needs surgery straight away. But O'Malley's spoken about it a little bit briefly as well. Obviously, he's 29, so it's not a massive issue, and I want to see him put on some more muscle as well. Let's just give this a quick watch, okay, folks? We're gonna just play this, and I want you guys to give me your thoughts.
Well, I mean, yeah, I probably won't fight till
I'll turn my desktop audio up.
for 9 months, 10 months, maybe a year. Like, it's gonna be a while. People are gonna have to watch the UFC without a sugar show for a little bit, but then maybe they'll realize, fuck, we had it. It was fun. It's gonna feel good to take a legit break to get fully healthy, full on break without something like, oh, this is next. I don't have anything, nothing scheduled. I don't want to even. It's like no one's next. I gotta get healthy, and that's it. Take my time and come back. Well, I mean, yeah, I probably won't fight.
The man's handled the loss very well. I mean, look, I would have if his career trajectory now is going to be different. Okay, he's now going to be a contender again. Obviously, that's never easy. He got $3 million from the Fight in the Sphere. It was literally released. The guy's set for life. He's got so much on the go right now. However, he wants to be a superstar. He wants to be the greatest. What needs to happen, in my opinion, is don't come back and fight Corey Sandhagen, because that also has the potential, and I know you're going to hate me for saying this, that has the potential to be such a boring fight. Sandhagen O'Malley would be such a boring fight. It would be so much feints and one shot at a time, because both guys would be worried about getting clipped, and Sandhagen would probably shoot. We know he can grapple, but I want to see O'Malley come back in July next year, and you're going to hate me for saying this, Merab O'Malley 2. Umar and Merab fight early next year. Umar wins, hopefully. June, July next year, O'Malley Merab rematch. Or Cejudo O'Malley, if Cejudo's still around, mid next year. O'Malley versus Merab is the next fight for Sean O'Malley. He's going to fight Merab again, in my opinion. Because realistically, Merab's going to lose the title against Umar. Let's be honest. It could be very close, but I think Umar, just as technically, wrestling-wise, will be able to do it. It might not be a boring fight. It might be a good fight. I think if Umar can get through Merab, and O'Malley is willing to fight Merab again, and maybe a co-main event for the interim belt, Merab O'Malley mid next year. Then at the end of next year, we have Merab not fighting for a belt, O'Malley fighting for a belt. I think that would make so much more sense. Get O'Malley back in the title picture. You could probably give him an immediate title shot again. If none of those options are available, Henry Cejudo is there. I think Henry Cejudo is a very good option, just because the history they have, and I think Cejudo is easy work for Sean O'Malley. He floats he's an idiot, by the way. For his stature and his size, he should be coming in like this and shooting and power, but instead he floats around like this with his chin in the air, throwing winging hooks, and he moves, and he doesn't switch stances, and his footwork is behind his chin. It just doesn't work. Cejudo is shite. I think Cejudo is the worst fighter to ever win 2 belts. 100. He's the weakest double champ by a country mile, you know. In terms of O'Malley's future, I want to see him. I want to see him be active on social media, and I would love to see him come out with maybe a weekly YouTube video of a week in the life of the O'Malleys, something like that, so we don't forget about him, so he can build more of a social media presence, and then his comebacks everyone's tuning in now. I would love to see something like that. Fair play to him. A hip surgery is no easy task. The recovery for that, I think he said, would be 2 months, but then to get training again and stuff, it'll be a few months after, then get back in shape. He said realistic. He originally said he's going to be gone for a year. Then he said it could be 6 months. And then he said realistically it'll be June or July next year he's back. Which means he's obviously getting the surgery in October. That takes him all the way through to December, January time before he's recovered. Maybe a month or two more to start training. That's February, March, April, May, June. Probably June. We're probably going to see him back in May or June next year. Obviously, there's a weekly podcast. We'll get updates on everything. I would like to see him back June next year. July, International Fight Week, co-main event. Give him merab. Give him merab again. Let him correct his mistakes. I think that's the only way you can get him back on that superstardom track. Because if he goes out there and he beats Cejudo, it's like, great, he beat a wrestler. But merab did this to him. What you need to do is get him back in there and be like, oh, okay, he starches merab or he beats merab in a close fight. And then it's like, okay, at least on his record, he's right that wrong. Then get back to doing your thing. And I think that's the only way you're going to help him out. I think that's the best way to do it. Like, comment, subscribe, folks. See you all later on. Let me know what you think.